Hello everyone, it's time for another weekly reads. I came back from holiday on Thursday and I have a few things to talk to you about. The main one is that the Booker Prize longlist was announced. I have a reaction video. It's not the reaction when I saw it, but it's the reaction when I came back from holidays and was able to film my thoughts on the books. But yeah, I'm trying to get through as much as them as I can. So we will talk about this, but I first wanted to talk about all of the books I read since last time I did a weekly reads 2 weeks ago. So let's just get into it. The first one I want to talk to you about is El Caballo de Oro, or The Golden Horse, by Juan Dvid Morgan, which I read for Panama for Invisible Cities. And I have a vlog for that app, so I will link it somewhere. But yeah, that one was an interesting one. So the story is basically, it's set in the 1850s in Panama, which is when they built this railroad to go from the east to the west coast, and that was often used as the passage also from the east coast of the US to the west coast. So instead of crossing the whole of the land of the US, people will take a boat to Panama and then cross the Isthmus of Panama and then take another boat to California, especially with the gold rush. The gold rush is also a big thing in the book. And we follow kind of a love triangle. So I was not a fan of the story and the love triangle, but I did learn a lot about Panamanian culture and Panamanian history and how it became so intertwined with the politics in the US, which is something I really appreciated, and yeah, I'm happy I read that book. The next one I finished is Red Clocks by Leni Zumas, and this was my reread for the month of July. And this is a story that follows mainly 4 women in, I think it's all of them are in Oregon, in a dystopian reality in which a certain person, we never get the name of anything, but a certain person wins elections and then decide to put a lot more restrictive rules on abortion and all those things, and it goes to extremes that are kind of really extreme. So like, abortions are not allowed anymore, but not only that, miscarriages are considered death, and the person that miscarried has to pay for the funeral of the baby, unborn fetus, baby, embryo, whatever it is. Things like you cannot adopt anymore if you are not a heterosexual couple, so single people cannot adopt children anymore. IVF is not allowed because that's supposed to like be playing God or something, and a lot of these radical ideas, and we follow how those affect these 4 different people in the US, and I found it maybe not as innovative and as shocking as the first time I read it, but I still think it's interesting, and the chapters are really short, so it's quite easy to get through it, and it's an enjoyable read basically. So yeah, I enjoyed that one. The next one I finished is Minor Feelings by Cathy. This is a non-fiction book about the situation of Asian Americans and the thoughts of Cathy about the way they are treated as a minority and the racism they go through. And I have mixed feelings about this one. I think it was very well thought out and very well researched, but I also found it a little bit inaccessible, to be honest. She clearly has thought a lot about these topics, and the assumptions of how much the person reading knows are quite high, and also she is also an artist and a poet, and so she talks a lot about art and poetry and references to that I was not familiar with. So in that sense, for me, it was a little bit too much. Like there were things that went over my head for sure. I still find it a valuable experience, but yeah, I was I don't think I enjoyed the experience of reading it, but I learned a lot from it, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you have any recommendations of a little bit more basic books that introduce the topic a little bit more to people that are not familiar with the topic, that would be great. But yeah, if you are interested, I will still recommend this one. And the last one I read was Island by Siri, Ranva, Hjelm, Jacobsen. I hope I said that correctly, and translated by Caroline Wright. And this is actually a NetGalley proof that I got, so I don't think the book is out yet. But it's a very short book about the Faroe Islands, basically. It's translated from the Danish. So we follow this girl that is from the Faroe Islands, but has not been there, has not grown up there, and so she's going back for a funeral, I believe, and then basically her experiences of the Faroe Islands. And yeah, this one, I liked the representations of the Faroe Islands. I've never read anything from there before, and I thought it was cool to read something from there. And it has some quite deep thoughts about the meaning of home and the culture of the Faroe Islands and how she felt when she went back. But I also ultimately felt like it was a bit too plotless for me. I think it's, if you compare this, for example, I would compare it to In Memory of Memory by Maria Stepanova. I think this is a much better way to talk about sort of like your family history. But yeah, it was quite plotless. So yeah, I enjoyed parts of it, but overall I think that for me it was a little bit too much. I think that for sure there will be people that will enjoy this, but I sadly was not the target one, I think, for this. I would have preferred something like a story more. So yeah, those are the books that I finished during these 2 weeks. From what I'm currently reading, I'm still plowing my way through A Suitable Boy. I just finished part 5, which is page 310. So I'm almost only have 1,000 pages left. But yeah, this one I'm really enjoying it. I'm reading it as a body read with Jyotsna, Ash, and Lauren. And I think we are all enjoying it. It's the perfect amount of family history, drama, politics, and humor. I think so. It makes it really readable, even though it's a really big book, and my arm is getting tired just by holding this. But yeah, we are all enjoying it, I think. The only thing I would say is that sometimes it's a little bit challenging to follow all of the characters, because obviously there are a lot of characters. So that's the only thing that is being a bit challenging for me. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a very smart way to tell a story, and I hope it continues this way. So yes, I'm enjoying that one. And the other one I'm reading is Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead, which is the first one that I'm reading for the for the Booker longlist. And this one has a double timeline of a woman in the a girl in the 1930s, 20s, 30s, that just wants to be a pilot. And so she puts all her energy in being a pilot, and basically challenging the expectations of the time of what a woman is supposed to do. And then we follow another girl in present time, more or less, that is an actress, and she has been hired to play this woman in a movie, and their lives have some similarities to each other, so I'm assuming that will come up later to connect the two stories better. But so far I'm a bit ambivalent about this one. I do like some of the things and it has some very smart moments, but as a story overall it's just okay so far. So we will see how that goes. I will make a review of that one when I finish it. But yeah, so far those are my thoughts. And then for what I'm planning to read later, so I just got No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lookwood from the library. And I was actually surprised how tiny it is, and the font is super big. So I think that it's going to go quite fast. And I'm excited about that because I'm not excited about reading this book. It doesn't sound like my kind of book, but just out of completion, I want to read this one for the Booker. And the other one I want to read for the Booker is Second Place by Rachel Cusk. I also have an e-copy from that one from library, so I will be reading that as well. And yeah, that one also doesn't excite me so much, but we will see. I have heard a lot of praise for Rachel Cusk, but she sounds very artsy, and I don't tend to love artsy books. So we will see how we go with those ones. It's also pretty short, so fingers crossed it goes fast. Those are probably going to be my two next reads for the Booker long list, and then I have put a hold on Clara and the Sun from the library, but I'm in the waiting list, so I don't know when that will come out. And then the other thing that I wanted to do today is because it's the 1st of August, right now as I'm filming this, it's time for another reread from my jar. So I have my reread jar here. Let's just take one, hopefully not a big one because there are a lot of Booker books that need to be read. The Uninhabitable Earth by David Wallace-Wells. I read this last year and I loved it, but at the same time there's so much information that I wanted to go back to it and reread it. I lent my copy to a friend and I'm not expecting it to come back anytime soon, so I guess I will have to buy that one, but that's fine because I really like it and I want to own a copy. So yeah, those are my plans so far. We'll see how we go. Also, Invisible Cities has a new set of countries, of course, but this time it's 2 instead of 3, which makes me feel like I have a little bit more room to do more targeted videos about those. So I'm quite excited about that. And also thank you everyone that left comments in my video about what I'm going to do with my channel and where this is all going. I had some good ideas from there and a lot of support, so thank you so much. And yeah, that's all for me. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!